Okay, yeah, let's jump into things. Where are we at? It's 12 past 11. So again, a little bit later than have been sort of doing them, but that's all right. We just sort of jump into it now. So I'll start off with DXY here, because yeah, you can see this little plan of attack that we had for yesterday, and we were saying that, look, a little bit of a relief rally, come up here, retest this level over here, and then sell down. Followed pretty much this white thing, and pretty much to a T, in that it did follow this here. And again, I'll just sort of recap it all, because this is your supports, broke through, little retest, higher time frame retest, and then bang, sold down. And look, if we sort of carry this through down here, it's kind of getting a bit of a sort of channel kind of thing. I mean, I don't know if I'm 100% sort of confirmed with this particular line. If we sort of make this a bit of a tighter angle, that'll make a tighter angle that way. Anyway, look, regardless of it all, this is the general sort of structure that we're seeing sort of come down here. So if we drag this one through here, so what we can sort of take away from this at the moment is one, obviously, I mean, the obvious US dollar is very weak, which we've been calling for a little while now. And two, that we've got some actual structure which we can give us some sort of actual lines that we can work off, where we can say that, like, once this line's sort of broken with a break and a retest, then you may see a little bit more of a sustained recovery rally. At the moment, it's just sell down, 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 down. As you can see, we've just taken out the yearly open. So it's a yearly flip. So we're starting to see a little bit of a sort of a buy effort sort of come back in over here. Again, you got to remember that even if these things are selling down, and fundamentally, technically, it's breaking all these levels. Cuts are coming, all these kind of things. Nothing goes in a straight line. I know it's cliche as anything, but the whole point is that this is oversold. The opportunity then flips to the other side, even if it's just for a medium term period. In terms of sort of so much of the market are short dollars. This has got down to such a cheap level, it then becomes a better option to then sort of grind it up here, get back in for their short dollars, and then sort of take it down again. Why sort of keep sort of like, selling it, selling it, selling it when you can sell it here, when you can push it back up here, force people to be taking profits in their positions, see a bit of a rebalance of it all, and then continue it to sort of come back down. So you will get a push back up over here at some stage. I'm quite sort of sure of this. You've got Jackson Hole, sort of coming at the end of this week. There's a bit of talk about sort of like, how dovish they're going to sort of sound Powell's going to sound there. People have sort of been starting to call for 50 basis point cuts and all this kind of thing. Look, I don't know enough to sort of say. To me, it sort of seems a bit extreme, particularly on their first cut. So I would say sort of more likely. So I'm just trying to see if we can find anything else. Obviously, it's overshot this if that were to be some sort of wedge. Most likely, we're going to see obviously some dovish talk, but I would say 25 base points. See how it goes from there, and then and sort of move on. But in the short term, I think that we could sort of see over the next day or so a little bit of a sort of move up in DXY, just to freak a bit of the market out, just to take some heat off the sort of positions, and then we could see a bit of a continuation back down there as well. But in the short here and now, what you want to sort of see is probably sort of at least a break back above this little line here, which is the yearly open. Somewhat arbitrary, but obviously it is very significant, but it doesn't mean that it's going to come down here and just melt straight away. I think it'll sort of come up here and then, as I said, shoot back down with it all. So if you get above this sort of falling resistance here, I would say your little swing high position over here would be an interesting level if price gets above here. If you get above here, I would see it sort of coming back up to test this lot, like we did back here a couple of weeks ago. Broke down, came down, and then where to come back up to, right where we'd seen the sellers happening previously. You see, it's not actually changing structure. You're not putting in higher lows technically and sort of seeing some further move back up to this side here. But this did obviously catch a large segment of the market out. And if you weren't sitting a bit in cash ready to go and catch this leg down here, well, you would have been either sort of forced out of your positions or you've been stopped out. And this is exactly a perfect example of it all. Sell down, 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 down. Yes, this was news. You can't see me doing the air quotations, but news driven. But, for whatever reason, why sell it down here when they can for some reason jam it up here to then start selling it from here and pushing it down again? And I imagine this is going to happen fairly similar as well. These are the two levels that I'm looking for. If it gets above this one over here, then I think we could see another push back up to 102 for a test, and then a continuation for the next leg down. And as I said, on a bigger time frame, it's just really that kind of motion. So I think we're probably due for some sort of little rebalancing at some time soon. All right, flip across to gold because gold overnight made new highs. As I can see, it went after those stops up here, boom, up to 25.30, 25.32 for a new high. We can see sort of like, it really sort of came back down through this level here. I thought it would have stayed in this consolidation box and gone down a little bit lower, but obviously, no, got down under here, and then I think it was just around the start of Euro session, it just took off and just grinded up over here. Actually did catch a couple of little shorts just through this little move down here. Basic idea of this is a break and retest. As to sort of what it's going to do, I do believe ultimately gold is going higher, 25, 50, 2600, these kind of levels in the medium term. I don't think it's too far off. Again, it's just you've got to sort of see what are they going to do with it first. So, there's a potential that we come back down, we retest these levels over here. If they really want to snap the market out, they'll come down over here. I don't think the latter so much. I think if you can get 2480 right now, I think we get a big buying lot coming up here. But certainly, this is a big sell down here. This is a bit of a sort of what you consider a break, a failed breakout almost, because you've got consolidation, break up, and boom, slap down here. We didn't see the continued just grind higher. So we've got to wait to see. Asia sessions, as we know, is a little bit rubbish, so we can get rid of this now, and we can just sort of see which way we're going to get a little break. So put a little zone here. And I would say, realistically, a close under here. So close under 2507, 2500, and 2486. Actually, I'll probably move this up just to be safe. I'd sort of say the buy's probably a bit more here. I mean, it's a couple of bucks, but it can make a difference with it all. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a little bit of a push down. This would go in line with what I was saying a moment ago with DXY having a little bit of a relief rally. People's go, okay, hold on, wait, US dollars drastically oversold. Gold's had a little bit of a failed breakout, particularly if it does take out this 2500 level. I think we're going to see people go, okay, well, where's at least the short-term opportunity, flood back into the US dollar just for a moment, if not just to sort of push it a bit higher, grab some liquidity down here, and then we could see that sort of reversal. So to me, that kind of seems like it could play out if we do see a break below 2500 to confirm that. If you do get underneath 2507, obviously 2500, we saw it get retested yesterday. And sort of obviously buyers were very happy to sort of pick that up straight away. It didn't even it wasn't like one of those ones like this where they think about it. It was just bang, 2500. Yes, we'll take it again. So if you see a depletion of these 2500 buyers, then these are the kind of levels that you could be looking down in the 2480s for sure. But I think if you do get down over here, I'd expect a big reaction to then sort of be driving back up towards the highs, and that offers a pretty much a 50-buck move from the lows over there. If we flip across, we've got Aussie continues to grind higher. Now, this is a couple of little thoughts that I put on this chart yesterday when I was just playing it out. Like we had this little trend that had been sort of respecting. We had the break, gave us our low, came back up here. I thought this would be okay. Look, retest of the break level, and it's just grinded. It's just still moving forward. Like I get the idea that sort of as I've been sort of going on and on about that. DXY is going down, but no, RBA is definitely the more hawkish of the central banks and that. And so Aussie's offering a great potential because they're not even talking, it's not even part of the conversation or even close to sort of be cutting rates. Certainly not this year, it won't be happening. But the short here and now is it's smashed through price target. It's held for a moment at this sort of resistance and it just grinds through. There's a lot of the market that are short. So this is very much not really giving up much at all. It's very squeezy. So when these things do fall, you expect quite a sharp fall down. So levels that, again, like I would have loved to have buy in all these zones here, but I just haven't had an opportunity to. So we can sort of drag up even a bit more of a little short-term trend now, so which it seems to be respecting. So broke this trend. I thought maybe, okay, obvious sort of point, we maybe come back to this trend over here, because it really has just gone off on a pretty steep angle over here. But it just keeps pushing up. And every time it sells down, they're buying it like within a couple of pips. I mean, these drop-offs, so we've got 47, 32, so 15 points or so. I mean, it's not much, particularly when you look at it in the sort of, this is just the last leg. This isn't even coming from down here. You know what I mean? Like, so it really hasn't given up. Like 40 level, if you go back and watch the videos from last week, 40 was the level I said. Break 40, off to the races. It's 100 and, where are we at now? 110 points up from that. So you know what I mean? Like, there's no point sort of trying to say, oh, yes, this is the top. But as I said, it's come up on a pretty steep angle. It broke that. It's starting to make another little sort of wedge along here. If we can break this level, I mean, there's just, because there's so many little things, little ledges along here, I think ultimately, if you want to see downside moves to get a better entry, underneath yesterday's lows, which was 67.13 or so, I really thought that as we were coming down here, I'm like, yep, bang, here we go. We're going to get back down to 67 and then take off. Didn't even get there. Got within 10 points and obviously just took off again. So this could be a little bit of a wedge forming at the top up here. Again, if we get this and break down through here, underneath 35 would be a little bit of a zone, because if we can see through here, let's put this back onto zones. So this will be a zone. This will be a zone. So yes, as this one states here, underneath this little bit here, this would be the confirmation that you may sort of get a bit of a deeper sort of pullback. But I mean, as it is at the moment, as I said, you're not getting more than a couple of points before the market just buys it up again. So if this does play out, if this little wedge, I'm not a big super fan of it so far, but I mean, this could be somewhat of a little bit of a wedge coming to the top. If we do see that pullback on gold, if we do see DXY stage a little rally, these are the kind of things that will go in line with Aussie coming back down. Look, there's a good chance you come back down here and it just gets bought straight back up again, because as you come down through here, oh, let's fix this one up. Too much stuff on this chart. As we sort of potentially come down through this level here, this will also. So I've just lost my train of thought. What was sort of thought here? Ah, yes, sorry. Yeah, as we sort of break this, Jesus, yeah, losing my mind. As we sort of break down towards this sort of side over here, if we do sort of come down to this little horizontal here, again, this is the thought that, you know, we've got this other trend underneath here. So this could be very well, of course, depends sort of how fast you come down to it. If you melt down, well, you know, you come down over here and you may get your 67s. But if it just sort of grinds down slowly through here, you'd be coming into a little bit of a confluence of this horizontal where we know the buyers are. We could see them yesterday, well, previously on the way up, yesterday with the lows. If they get another shot at it, they're gonna give it another go. You've got this sort of rising trend. I bought it here. It's come way, 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 way off it. If it comes back down over here, they're going to give it another go. So that then becomes your break line. This is the one that you want to sort of say, okay, and as I said down here, touch with this, the target is touch with this lower trend. As to whether this sort of comes here, 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 this is what we're expecting. And I'd say sort of short side targets would be coming into contact with this trend, because then you could very much expect it to sort of springboard off there a little bit more. You break this trend, well, then you're looking for deeper pullbacks, and we may actually get these ones underneath 67. Again, it really depends what they do with DXY. Ultimately, it looks like it's going down, but you know, that's the whole sort of thing. When it looks like an easy trade, that's when they're going to jam it the other way. So you just got to be cautious with these kind of things. So at the moment, I'm not adding to any longs or anything. I'm waiting for pullbacks. If we get down underneath sort of 36, These are the targets for the short side, 67.12, and then if we can get down to 67. I don't see it necessarily going underneath this, but you know what, anything can happen, of course. So I have to sort of wait and see what happens. But this little wedge looks like it might want to break, or at least test this 35 level. All right, so copper. Look, this is pretty much, I mean, you know, I do this stuff a lot, and when it works out like this, it just makes you think, you know, okay, I'm on the right track, and this is pretty cool. Because, of course, if you watch the videos, I've been saying from down here, we had a big confluence of things. We had the negative divergence on the daily. This area 3, you can't see this because this is on the 4-hour time frame. But on the daily, it was a big negative divergence. We also had the retest of this big breakout level. This was the breakout level from March before we had this massive run up to over 5. You know, there was a big area for confluence there. Came up over here, and you can see where we put the price target. Where did we say it was going to be a confluence? You got horizontal sellers, you got the top side of the channel sellers, price target, bang, 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 and we're back down. Again, doesn't mean it's dead, but it just sort of means this is why you have a price target and you take your profits along the way. Because you could sort of, this is an amazing trade. This is like 6% or something from the lows here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, 7% from the lows, like 3,000 points almost. So that was an amazing trade. And look, this comes from, as I said, trading and just looking at a couple of sort of instruments and just knowing how they act. And you can go back and watch it along the way because obviously I do this every day. And I said, look, we had this little consolidation bounce up here. I said, once we break through here, we go. And what do we do? Look at, I mean, just look at the structure of the actual trade. There were sellers here. We found sellers again. There were sellers here. As it back tested, they became buyers. Once it came through here, we move up to the next level. You know, there's another test of it, breakdown. Once you get a solid close up the top, depletion of sellers at this level, move to the next level, which is our price target. So, you know what I mean? It's nice when these things just, you know, respect the chart and it just, the structure is completely there. So short, sort of like the short-term moves from this here, I could expect a little bit of a cooling off. As I said, the price target's been hit now. We are still respecting this channel for now. So I would expect a little bit more of a sort of pullback with it all. Again, we had a little bit of a zone through here, had the back test. If this drops down through here, look, again, this all goes in line with what I've been sort of saying with a little bit of a short-term rally on DXY. I do think that we could have a little bit of a rebalancing before we sort of kick back into it and then go again. So I would say for copper, in the short term was a little thing. I would say we could probably get a little bit of a pull down, you know, maybe back to these sort of highs over here and then stage another effort to try and get up and get through here. If we take out these highs, that's a confirmation because then you're out of the channel, you're past this horizontal, and then you can see you had a little bit of a stuff around up here, but it's a pretty clear cut up towards 5 again. Up towards 5, sort of mid 4, sorry. I mean, yes, it is towards 5, but I think a little bit more. So I would be looking for something like this. I think a break of this little trend here, snap some people out of some positions, take out these lows, snap them out, goes in line with DXY running, and then we could sort of look for another bit of a launch around 410, and then sort of look to break out of that channel there. So I think there's certainly better entries to come for long side positions on copper here in the short term. Okay, so flip across China, and it is really flirting with that sort of lower support area here. This is what we said yesterday. Was it like, you know, see a little bit of a bounce up, and we're coming back down again. It's getting very close. As I said though, like when it looks so obvious, generally that's when they're gonna just snap you out. So generally, as I've sort of followed up or sort of been saying for a while, that China sort of loves to find its area and grind. So there is a chance that we sort of come back up through here, but again, I don't think we're going to be seeing some massive turnaround. I think if anything, you know, maybe back up to test this level here, and then maybe a push back down. So, I mean, this is a little area we said yesterday Obviously, this is just the course of action, up and then down, and this is exactly what we got. So this was exactly up and then down. It didn't go as wide, but the point is still the same. It moved up and then came down further. So we'll have to sort of see how the rest of the session sort of plays out. But again, I keep saying I'm looking for probably a little bit of short-term DXY strength. Uh, and we got, wow, what an absolute rip-roff with this one here. So let's get this out of the way. So this is silver, obviously, and silver has just been just churning and churning and churning and churning. This is our little sort of measured move price target, just coming up over here. I've got it matched up with this. Again, a little bit of a cool off, snap some people out some positions. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a little bit of a deeper pullback, particularly if gold does come down underneath 25. I think we'll see people sort of go, oh my God, what's happening, what's happening? And I think it'll sort of move to this downside over here. And then I think we could look for another launch of 2880 to move towards mid 30s. I think definitely we've got some upside here. The break of this channel is what's significant. The age-old sort of adage, nothing goes in a straight line, and we've certainly seen this. As I said, it's run very hard. If the futures hit 30, I mean, even I think this is spot, and this hit 30, or almost hit 30. So I'd say a bit of a pullback. So we are 29.30 now. I'd say 28.80 would be a good area if you could get on board with it to sort of get a bit of a buy up. So yeah, short term sort of downside with metals. Excuse me. It goes in line with everything else that we've sort of been saying. All right, cool. I think that is pretty much it. Just again, trying to sort of knock these out a little bit quicker without sort of rabbiting on for too long with it all. I'll drag this across over here so we can have a look at the news for the day. Let's refresh this. And here we go. And as you can see, it's a pretty quiet day. Nothing really coming through here. Tonight we got, tonight sort of 4 a.m. Melbourne time. We got FOMC minutes. Look, again, they're pretty dovish. So I wouldn't expect anything sort of super with this, but, as I say, a little bit of a balance of it all. I will just flick back to this very quickly because, if you watch the start of what I was saying here, we are now seeing Aussie break down through this little wedge. If we have a look at DXY, we're seeing a little bit of a recovery rally here. Again, look, it doesn't mean that, okay, this is a bottom, but certainly you've got this as a little target, 101.70, and then 102, which can certainly snap some people out. And you're seeing Aussies sort of come down. So underneath 35, I would say would be the door, so a little trap door to sort of say, look, we're going to get a little bit of a further pull down. If you wanted to even just have a look at this briefly, you'd sort of say that, look, this could be a little bit of your wedge up here. And if this is a measured move, this would be your sort of position. Whoop. This would be your move down over here. Again, sort of coming down sort of mid-20s. We found that 24 was quite a sort of strong point yesterday. So put this just over here and call it a little short-term price target. See what happens as it sort of comes around this zone over here. All right, back to the news. As I said, not too much FOMC minutes in the middle. PMI day tomorrow. Everybody's looking. For some reason, we don't have a forecast for Aussie. Not quite sure why. But, again, sort of pretty flat across the board. A little bit of a cooling off with everything. And again, as things are cooling off a little bit, it might sort of freak people out a little bit and take some money off. If we see that kind of thing happening, we'll see equity sort of cool off a little bit. Equities cool off, risk gets a little bit of a mention. As risk gets a mention, Aussie pulls back. So, these are the kind of things that I'm looking for at the moment. PMI day tomorrow, and then again, pretty quiet into the end of the week. Powell talking early or late Friday, early Saturday, as Friday is when Jackson Hole sort of kicks off. All right, that's it from me.